Hi, today we're going to talk about the bass part of the track Valentino from the Adani&Wolf album Electric Dandy. The bass part is played on this guitar, this bass guitar. It's the Squier Precision, it's an exact copy of the Fender Precision, and is played, the whole part's played with a pick, because we really like this vintage pick sound from the 60s. So, how did we record it? Well, of course, with the bass guitar and the pick. The pick, the thicker the better. This is a 3mm, just guitar pick, ordinary, but the thicker the better. And then, well, you have to take care of the playing also a little bit, because if you just play normally, you miss the typical decay sound of the pick bass. So you need a little damping with your hand on the strings, and the sound, if you play a little behind the element, it's getting better also. So listen to this. Instead of, we play like, this is the sound which is coming close to what we want to hear. Okay, so this is how we started. We didn't use an amp for this. No, we used the Drummer 1960. It's a vacuum tube compressor preamplifier. So the bass is going in the preamp. We do nothing with EQ because we want fully control. So we're not going to record with EQ. Then it goes into the compressor. That we do with recording. Just a little bit of compression is always okay, because it already adds a little decay sound which we want to hear in this bass track. So just a little compression, not too much, and then the drummer goes in the mixing console, and the mixing console goes to the computer, and then it appears like over there. This is the bass sound we recorded. Put it on solo. You see, it's already got this little attacky sound. What did we do with the bass? What we always do after recording is some compression, but we didn't do it in this case. We put a leveler. It's called the bass rider. And this leveler, well, it levels the sound and puts all the volume at the same audible way. You can see it move, the fader. That's the only thing what happens with it. Then we put some EQ, and that's very important, because to our opinion, the very, very low end of the bass, from 20 hertz and lower, we don't need, because it's only rumble in your mix. It gives a lot of energy you don't want to have in the mix, especially on little speakers. You don't hear it, but it's a disaster for your mix. So we always cut it out, and what we put in is this part you really can feel and hear. That is the part where you see this notch. It's around 90-95 hertz. That's, you can feel it in your stomach if it is there. And especially in this track we did it because the drums, we changed it. It's much lighter, the sound of the drums. There's not really a low bottom sound. So the only instrument in this track which contains a little bit of low is the bass. So that's what we did with the bass, and then we got this sound. It's nice, it's warm, it does the thing, but we're still missing something, and that what we miss is that typical vintage edgy hi there the typical vintage edgy high-end sound which they had in the old days. So we tried to fiddle around to get that sound a little, putting high in, putting some old spring reverberation and things like that. That's nice in sound if you hear the bass solo, but if you put it in a mix, it's too blurry, way too blurry, because reverberation on low end, it blurs your mix. So that was another thing. Then I remember the story told by Mr. Wolf the other day, that he read that the old orchestras in the 60s, they used two bass players. Very clever. One double bass, only for the low end, boop, 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 nothing in the high. And the other one, there was the guy who played actually with the pick. You remember? With the high present sound through the tube amplifier. And then we thought, wow, let's do a thing like that. So we tried playing two parts, but that got blurry also. So what we did, we took the original bass part and we just copied it, you know. That's nowadays with the computer very easy, the exact copy. And we started to do some processing on the copy. And now it got really interesting. So what did we do? Well, first I show you how it was. What did we do to on our quest to have this nice, edgy, high frequency in the bass sound? You hear as it was, okay. Here's our friend the leveler. It doesn't change a lot, but it makes it that you can hear every note. Now we're going to do some EQing. That changes already something. You see, we put everything away under the 100 Hertz, because that we don't need. The original bass has enough. What we do need is this notch around 2K, the mid-high. And why do we need it? Because we want to hear it, but also because after this we put another effect. And that is our friend Amplitube. And Amplitube is a kind of tube simulation plugin with lots of vintage effects. So, and here it is. And now you hear immediately more low is vanished and the nice edgy high sound is coming in. We put some reverberation on top of it, and now the reverberation is very okay because you only hear it on this thin high part. So we changed this bass sound from this to this, but this is only the icing on top together with the old bass. Now suddenly you can feel it, but you also can hear the typical sound, which helps the track a lot. And together, it's going to sound like this. So that is our story about the bass. Next story is again told by Mr. Wolf, and it has everything to do with this lovely saxophone you hear.